Hey there, welcome to the Reinsurance Podcast, the place where we dive into all things reinsurance, the coolest part of insurance. We're your hosts, Jerad and Ben, a couple of ex-practitioners who loved the industry so much we founded Supercede to tackle some of its biggest headaches. And we're here to share our insights and stories with expert guests as we uncover what's really going on in the industry.
Hello and welcome back to the Reinsurance Podcast. I've succeeded in making Jerad laugh, as usual, with some antics that took place before the episode. But we are not here for antics. We are here for serious reinsurance chat.
But whenever it's just the two of us, we don't have a special guest.
It's been a long time, actually.
Yeah, it's always more antic-ridden. Antic-laden?
Antic. Can you use antic in the singular?
Antique. They can't
Antics.
be related.
Antic. Well...
Yeah. And we can't tangent with the guests, so there's a special moment when it's just us on the podcast.
I think so. Yeah. It coaxes us out of our podcasting shells a bit, just delve into the unknown. That wasn't that funny. You dismissed me. Oh,
no.
Right. No. Yes. Well, listeners, we shall not digress further, for we have an important task set to us by Cordy today. He has challenged us to guide you, our audience, on building the ultimate submission pack. Why do you think Cordy thinks we've got any knowledge about this, Jerad? What are our credentials?
The credentials are deep. So we'll go in reverse chronological order. Most recently, we sell software and build a software company that solves this specific pain point. So we spend a huge amount of time talking to reinsurers, talking to cedents, and talking to brokers about what they need for data to go into these packs, what they want as the output, how they want to communicate that.
That's compelling, Jerad, but tell me more. Continue anti-clockwise.
And then you have, in your previous life, the recipient of said data and needing to sort of answer questions you have about a portfolio of data. And ever so slightly before that, my work in preparing and doing this work on the broking side alongside clients, trying to get this into order. So that depth is sort of bringing us to how do you do this really, really well? But I think a really important place to start on this is what are you trying to achieve with this? Right? It's
why
the purpose of the exercise is, you know how much I hate my own rhetorical questions, but the purpose of the exercise is to tell your trading partners what your book of business is doing, give them confidence in what you have. But when you think about what makes a good one, it's not as simple as, oh, it's clear or it's accurate. Those are important things, but it's also reflecting who you are as an organization, as a cedent. When a reinsurer asks, well, what's driving these numbers? Not just to say the numbers are accurate and we all believe that, but you can actually dig into that. So, it's these things. And if we took those things out, it would look like this. This is the story of our book, right? And that's the thing that matters when you talk about what is good at a very high level, I would say.
And why does it matter, I guess? Because it's not just, so that everyone feels good, but actually, as we found out, it has quite a tangible impact on certain things.
Yeah, so it matters for, I think, a couple reasons. Again, I think it's important to know that bad data makes your reinsurance price higher, right?
Yeah.
And the numbers behind that, we have the white paper on that will be linked in the show notes. But the numbers behind that are enormous, because when you're talking about 5 to 10% increases in premium and premiums that are tens of millions, those numbers become large very, very quickly. But that's the big sort of glaring, shouty number. But more importantly is this underlying understanding of, are you buying the right reinsurance, full stop? Mm-hmm. And if you're sort of making estimations on things, you might be buying, starting too high and losing stuff at the bottom, or buying too little at the top, or too much at the top and buying more than you need to. So the risk of not buying the appropriate amount of reinsurance based on your portfolio is super, super important. And as a cedent, the people best equipped to help you with that are the brokers and the reinsurers, right? So you need to have the data in order, so those partners that you rely on so heavily are actually able to deliver more of the value that they're there to do, because they're working with the numbers. That's the framework upon which we're trying to project a better way to do this kind of work.
And I guess it's to the point where if you get it so horribly wrong, hopefully everybody already knows this, but if you get it so horribly wrong that it just is misrepresentation effectively, then possibly your reinsurer just doesn't pay your claim, which is very bad. But hopefully it's enough of an incentive not to overpay for what you're getting in the first place.
Yeah, there is certainly that risk, and and even if that reinsurer like begrudgingly says they're still going to do it, but they're going to adjust the premiums like mid-year or similar, like the fact, and we've had clients who've had to do this, like go back to the market and say, hey guys, sorry, like the data we sent you last year that had these numbers in it, we've done the work on Supercede again, and that was wrong. Yeah. Those numbers are off by 7 or 8 or 10%. So please don't be too punitive we're trying to like, but it's a reputational damage in some ways, but even if they were to make sure that the claims were still paid, but you're right. There's certainly the case where you're not out of the woods that if there was such an event that the numbers were misstated, you could have a scenario in which the reinsurers would say, the data was, we underwrote a different thing than what you're making a claim against.
So I guess conversely, what we really would like to happen is for a reinsurer to go, oh yeah, the submission from Jerad's here, my favorite submission, and to dive into that, to bring it to the top of their pile and ignore lots of other unattractive submissions that would take ages to work through, to get the data that they need really quickly and easily, to get the extra detail, to have the confidence that what they're seeing is accurate, and to be able to champion that submission through their organization to get extra commitment, to get better terms, to fight for space on that panel, because they know everybody else is going to be fighting for space if it's a great submission. That's the kind of behavior that we want submission packs to inspire in reinsurers. Yeah,
so we've started off with a deep knowledge of like what's in that. But for the listenership who aren't like seeded buyers, like what are the critical like elements of a submission pack that we're talking about here?
So I think there's a really easy initial distinction, which is numbers versus text. So obviously, submission pack has lots of core exhibits. We refer to them as, your premium estimates, your rate changes, your border, your narrative is one of those, arguably, as well. Other attachments, triangles, lots and lots of different exhibits. But what happens when a big PDF or Excel-based submission is created is often those two things get worryingly intertwined, the numbers and the text, and it becomes quite hard to work out which bits are the core hard numbers that I need to take from that submission to put into my modeling file as an underwriter. And if you make that difficult for the underwriter and they have to sort of read lots and lots of things to try and find the specific table that they want, that immediately causes headache and pain and confusion.
I was talking to a reinsurer the other day, won't name names, but not small, we'll say. And I was like,
not small.
yeah, exactly. And I said, we were asking, I was like, walk me through the process by which you guys receive the data and you take it through the various systems that you have in play. And they use, like a lot of the larger firms will, some partners overseas to sort of try to extract data and put it into places, and this kind of worked. And he goes, so the first thing we do is we take all the spreadsheets and we throw away all the the other PDFs. And then he goes, but it's annoying because sometimes they put like the premium estimates in the PDF. So I got to take the PDF back out of the bin and rekey that number because it wasn't in the spreadsheet. But to your point, that's exactly right. This intertwining of like the data, which is in a spreadsheet, but some of that data isn't terribly complex. It's the last 10 years of premium estimates and how it's changed and developed for each of those years. But you still want it in like the same place that can be accessed easily, that can be instantly digested or ingested into a system of record. And so whilst you can put it in a PDF, you've now blended things that now someone can't just auto-populate or copy-paste. They've got to put it through a PDF extraction tool to pull the table. You're just adding a lot of this hassle to your partners who are unbelievably busy at this time of year too. This time of year being the end of the year or big renewal seasons.
You've made me think of something interestingly. Their logos, pathos, ethos. or those things. There's kind of like a Maslowian hierarchy of needs that emerges around this, right? Like the basic layer is the first thing that every reinsurance underwriter wants to see is like competence. Like can you just give me the numbers, please? Because as a starting point, I can't underwrite this at all unless you give me the basic numbers. Yeah. And if you give me the numbers in a decent way and they're clear and easy to understand, competence, tick box, then I can move on to the next stage, which is then coherence, right? Which is like, does it make sense? Is it matching to what I understood your company to be, what I saw in previous years? Can I make a join up between what you're telling me and what you're communicating to me historically and your narrative, etc., in such a way that those numbers in general make sense to you and it's not directly contradictory? And then once you've got that established, checkbox, we then start to get into actual consideration, emotional response, like behavior. Is this a partner that I want to fight to work with and to be a big part of? That's the more emotional kind of side of things, where it comes to like, to what extent am I compelled? I try to get another C word in there, but it doesn't quite work. But coherent, what was it, the first one? Competency, coherence, compulsion. Okay. Probably not the best word.
You got 2 more levels. How many more words you got?
But at that point, then you start to look at a submission pack and be like, okay, how much do I want this?
Yep.
But you can't ask how much do I want it until you've checked that it's a competent kind of level of data, it's coherent with the narrative. Yep. Only then can you ask yourself, do I want this? But I think a lot of the time that pyramid is submitted upside down. Yep. And it's like, look at our narrative and persuasive kind of like, the management team is wonderful. Yeah. It's wonderful. And it's like, we'll get to you, management team. Yeah. I'm not allowed to underwrite this until I've ticked all of these internal processes and boxes around your data. Yeah. And I can't get the computer to help me generate a price until we've inserted those various aspects of data and checked that it matches up against prior year, etc. Then we get on to, is this a management team that I respect, that I want to work with? Yeah. You know, have they got a strategy that I agree with? Are they focusing on the right things?
Do the numbers reflect or evidence that strategy is working, right? Another one like, we're doing these things, we're changing this of the book. It's like, amazing. That sounds like the right strategic decision. Like, how is that playing out? You're like, this is it's like, but if you need to have it where you're saying we're making these changes to our underwriting strategy, and if you look at our data now, you're seeing an improvement here because these things are proving themselves to be true, rather than just glossing that and then like you want to evidence that those things are connected and that that is working. So if I'm a reinsurer, I'm partnering with you for the forthcoming year, that the way you're growing this book is a way that we want to get behind it. We are aligned with you in that. Because this we know, and that the most of our listeners know that this is such a relationship-based thing. So like, I want to believe the strategy you're telling me is the right way, and I probably have had conversations with you about that. But we still want to get to the point now where it's a relationship that's reliant on numbers. Yeah. So like, you have to have the numbers in a way you can access and manipulate them to evidence. Yeah, I'll toggle these things off. I'll split this apart, and you'll see how this works. And that being a way to evidence that information.
Do you reckon that's the right order? I'm just thinking about this hierarchy, which will soon be published with a big like trademark kind of thing, and a book you can buy and a course you can get certified on. But I'm kidding, obviously. So you can have competency, data competency level 1. You know, can we even consider this? Can we get them through our system? Coherence, does it all match up to last year, to narrative, etc.? Then I think probably then management team is probably the next thing that I would look at if I was an underwriter. Like, is this a team that I want to work with? And then one, because you said 5 levels, right? So one above management, then I'd say strategy. Does the management team have a good strategy? Would probably be the next one up. I agree. And then finally, my top one would be alignment. Does their strategy align with what I want to align with as a reinsurer? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it a fit, basically? Is it a fit for my business? Yeah. And you can't really decide whether they're a fit for you, which is the ultimate goal. Is this a fit that we're going to fight for, basically? Yeah. Can't decide that it's a fit until you've understood their strategy, got to know their management. Yep. But before you do any of that, is the data coherent? is the data competent?
Yeah, there would be a level there. Maybe it fits within one of
It's gonna be
yours.
a white paper.
Exactly. 10,000 words coming soon. But there's another level I would introduce, or maybe it fits into one of yours, around control. Like, do I have control of the data? If you want me to carve it into various subsections, if I want to break this into regions or by subgeographies, or if I want to filter out something, can you ask me as a reinsurer a hard question, and can I, within a relatively reasonable turn of time, come back to you and say, that was actually, like, when I ran the numbers, I adjusted it, and this is what the whole portfolio does. Had we taken your question into consideration, or had we, like, I have this ability. Not only do I have confidence in, like, I have the data, but you can look at, like, when I'm making it, almost guides those other levels. Like, so the leadership team that you respect and the strategy that you're bought into, we are actually able to. We're almost evidencing that we have the ability to make those decisions on a data-driven basis. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's an interplay of not just saying we have data. That's potentially interesting.
There is somewhere out there a data analytics. I think it's like there's not a life cycle. It's kind of the hierarchy as well that's used to describe, like, maturity of analytics, and it's like data's at the base of it, and it goes to data that you can interrogate is somewhere in the middle, which I think is kind of what you're getting at. Like, to what extent can you actually interrogate this data, and then above that somewhere it gets to what extent can you forecast off this data, or, like, start to do other exciting things. But I think that is a ability to actually ask questions of the data and get meaningful results is quite an important one.
Well,
which I guess is similar to that coherence.
And this is going to vary on product line to some degree, right? If we're talking about a quota share, that hierarchy with alignment at the top is super important, because you're sharing the risks up and down the tower. Like, we're all in the same boat together. If it's a property cat program, XOL or something, like, that alignment might just be more of are they diversified from my other property cat exposures, and my alignment as an objective as a reinsurer is one way. But it reminds me of, as a startup, we raise venture capital, right? But what is super, super important in the beginning of a startup journey is to understand how venture firms look at your business. I think seedants need to look at this in the same way. Like, this isn't like a reflection on our own, like, ego stroking. The objective of this work is to understand the needs of our trading partners. And the better we're able to align with what they're looking for and present them data that they care about in a way that they want to ingest it, the more attractive we will be. To the earlier point that you made about moving up the priority list, the more impactful we will be at being like a priority client of theirs, because we're the ones thinking about what do they need to best understand our business in a way that puts the best, light on us.
Yeah, no, completely. And to some extent, you've got to understand what the market standard is there to some extent as well, right? You don't want to be the odd one out that's a pain to work with. But, like, we've created our own in-house format with our own color code, and it's brilliant as far as we can tell. But from the reinsurer's perspective, it's like, oh, this one again. Let me consult the key.
Yeah, 100%, right? And as clever, and it's almost like, oh, we've done our presentation. What was that? PowerPoint app?
With Prezi or something.
Prezi. It's like, ours is in Prezi. It's like, that's great. And the whizzy little animations are super fun. But, like, I want to download this and, like, email it to the rest of the team, or, like, print it for the meeting. Like, your Prezi's killing me right now. And it's the same kind of way where if you get behind, you begin to sort of emerge and put the work together in a way that is consistent with others in the market, you begin to be a more powerful and impactful way for you to present that best case forward. But the more you go off rogue and, like, oh, we've got this, yeah, it's cool, but it's actually more inconvenient for everybody involved.
So,
no shame on Prezi. You're doing a great job, Prezi. It's just not for reinsurance.
So just to show how unscripted this show is.
Yeah.
Cordy started waving at us because he did actually give us a list of questions that we were meant to answer, and instead we did like, you know, the kind of
we ad-libbed a Maslow hierarchy of needs, as is our
in a way that was like so kind of evolutionary along its path that it was the opposite of classic television format.
Yeah.
In the sense that instead of going like, and here's one we made earlier, it's like, and here's literally this pile of junk that we sort of assembled in different ways until it made sense. Iterated live on set.
Yeah.
But
can we go on a tangent?
go on, continue. And then I'll get the questions up that Cordy said we were meant to do.
So there's a new Netflix show. I think it's it's a chef. I think it's David Chan maybe, but he does, it's a chef show, but it's live. So his whole thing is he makes this food live with people who are there going to be eating it, and he's like, all the other shows, like they've pre-made it and they're going to pull it out of the oven that was done like days ago, and they lean into it being like rogue, and he's like, that went sideways. It's very engaging. And this is sort of our strat. It's like, yes, thanks for all the prep questions. We've gone completely off piste right from the start.
And now add the mustard.
Yeah.
What do you mean we don't have any mustard?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I didn't tell you that we needed mustard.
He's taken us to the top of the mountain, and we've just gone straight off the backside. We didn't turn around and come down the way we came.
I was also very pleased. I went to unlock my phone, and we had a notification that said, "Hey, Ben, big listener to the podcast." And I'm like, there's someone out there. Yeah, lots of people. Anyway, Cordy's question.
Thanks, Mom.
She sends one every week just to keep us motivated.
Yeah.
So Cordy has asked us question number 1. We might have covered some of these a bit already. So I'll ask, I'm going to turn plural questions to singular questions.
Okay.
For the sake of brevity. You ready? Question number 1. What is the most critical element that underwriters look for in a submission pack?
I would say granularity. And I say granularity because I'd want to say accuracy, but the reinsurers can't validate accuracy currently. They can believe data to be accurate, but they can't validate it. What they can validate is if I want us to drill in deeper, can I do that? So I would say granularity.
Nice. All right. Cracking on. Question 2. How can cedents ensure that their submission pack stands out from the competition? You only get one way.
Okay.
Because it's singular. I didn't manage to.
No, yeah, fine. I would say ease of access. Do I get the data that I want, that I care about, without having to sort of reverse engineer and filter through things and
get the data like this?
Yeah. Yeah. Speed and ease of access.
That wasn't really loud. I clicked near the microphone. It's probably like a bunch of people just winced into their headphones. But what is the single most common mistake that you see in submission packs, and how can it be avoided?
I think it would be almost the opposite answer I had before, like making it where it's too clever or too convoluted. Like if I open the sheet up and there's 40 tabs for like one in each exhibit, or there's one tab which all of the data is in like clever little boxes that are all cutely formatted, but like it's like
you need us to be watching the video version of the podcast to just see,
you just see the heartbreak, like, frustration when you have that.
I'm so frustrated face.
But like those are like clever ways to present, but it's hard to present data when you're working with just spreadsheets in like huge amounts of it, cleanly and efficiently presented to you. So
and in ways that you can aggregate or analyze. Like, it just doesn't work in spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Or you have like a pivot table and it's like, don't mess with the settings of the pivot table.
Right. So a reinsurer is going to be like essentially just redoing it all in hopes that they come with some similar answers, right?
Yeah, no, completely. Okay, we're almost there. Only 2 more questions to go. In at question number 4, as if it's some kind of like
ranking.
Yeah. There's I don't know. Can you hang on, got to make this singular. It's okay. It's an and/or. Would you prefer, I won't tell you what it is, would you prefer a case study or an example? And I'm going to edit one of those 2 out of this question.
Example.
Example, okay.
Oh, I'm stressed now.
Can you share an example of a particularly effective submission pack? What made it effective?
I think one thing, if you look at, So if you look at like legacy submission packs, like pre-Supercede submission packs,
Those heady days.
yeah, so submission packs that lay out very cleanly up front, like how this is organized and why, and like currencies and exchange rates and those sort of basic things, that then as you flick through it, like you have clarity of that, is always helpful because you sort of know where you're starting at. That is made fundamentally easier with technology, because not only can you toggle those things on and like manipulate the data, but it also means that if you like automatically ingest that, you can fill in all that information. So you almost don't need that in a modern submission pack, like a Supercede submission pack, but it was immensely helpful with legacy sort of Excel bound packs.
Congratulations, Jerad. You've made it to question 5. The final question, which for the purposes of YouTube and LinkedIn teaser content, we're going to try and answer in a single word.
Okay.
So you ready? This is going to be gold, Cordy, for your LinkedIn campaigns. Question number 5. How important on a scale of 1 to 10 is the quality and accuracy of data in a submission pack?
Yeah, it's obviously 10. Or I don't like doing the like, it's 11.
I was waiting for you to just say 10, and then you cut the video clip, and then it's done. And Cordy has everything he needs, and it's like,
10.
Repeat.
Full stop.
But you said obviously 10, which is good. But then you questioned yourself.
No. I only, because I, like little things that irritate the hell out of Jerad.
Okay, go on.
One is like, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like 13. You're like, oh, no, now you're just pissing me off.
You were
like
questioning whether you could have gone above 10.
Yeah, but like you can't go above 10 because the hard stop is 10.
Like when people...
Like 105%, I want to just smack you on the head. Unless you're a child, in which case, give 110%, little buddy.
Yeah.
But like, if you're...
Your child needs to get some friends and play outside more.
But like, if we're gonna set the 1 to 10 scale, like let's make the answer 10. The only alternative is if you say if you say on a scale of 1 to 10, and the answer is like non-numerical. It's like Batman. On a scale of 1 to 10, I choose Batman. You're like, it's sufficiently rogue that I'm no longer mad at you. But if you go 1 to 10 and someone says above that, that's just irritating. So I went with a hard 10, and that is the correct maximum number.
Okay, so it would be take 2.
This is why Cordy doesn't let us have our show with just us.
There is a clapper somewhere.
This is why Cordy makes us have guests, because otherwise it's Clapper.
Clapper?
Yeah. That's an episode 1 throwback.
Yeah, Clacker.
Clapper.
What's a clacker? Is that a thing? It's not something read out.
No, it sounds like an irritating child's toy.
Yeah, like a instrument. Okay, well, take 2 in any case. So we're here with Jerad Lee, the CEO of Supercede, who's going to answer the question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is the quality and accuracy of data in a reinsurance submission pack?
10, full stop.
There you have it, Cordy, from an expert.
Yeah.
That is...
6th question.
Oh,
okay.
Have you sent it to us, or are you going to yell it at the microphone?
So, all right, let's say reinsurance as an industry is currently operating at a 1.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
The entire industry now uses Supercede.
Oh.
What does that jump to?
So the question was, if we assume the reinsurance industry's current position is a 1, and the entire industry adopts Supercede in terms of data transfer and cleansing and preparation, what does that get us to?
Batman.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Batman. Incredibly high. I don't know where 10 sits in terms of like what does 10 look like. We need to sort of index but 10-ish, because not only do you get massive consistency and quality of data, the quality is going to go up immediately for everybody. The ability for the reinsurers and the brokers to ingest that data in which they can evaluate programs and structures and efficiency of those deals more in a faster manner goes up. The underwriting and accuracy of underwriting on those deals and the pricing of those deals improves. There's an increase in capacity that then begins to flow into the market because the industry is able to better price risk. It will unlock the ability to create new products in a way that is trapped. We've talked about this before. Innovation gets trapped when there's no way to look at data in a consistent way. So like a number of things unlock very, very quickly. So it's nearly Batman.
Yeah. I quite like the effect it has on retro as well, because if we're talking like near total market adoption, of a single format, single solution, then reinsurers can start to say, oh, I actually know what's in the underlying portfolios when they go out to buy their retro, which is really exciting because I think at the moment, you get a kind of retro underwriter who's asked by management, do you know what's in the portfolio that you're underwriting? And they're like, yeah, And it's like, is that a yeah? No. Yeah. Well, yeah, but no. And it's like, so no? And it's like, well, no, not really at all. No idea. We've got a list of
your
clients
on rate online profiles, which is like, but when you work, because when you have data in various degrees at the start, and you look at like a retro book, which is the culmination of all those various underlying, like all they can do is go to the lowest common denominator, which is like rate online profiles and high level like performance of those books, which is helpful, but there's no ability to continue to like drill down and interrogate that data. If the entire underlying treaty was in a consistent format, regardless of class of business, and then those treaties roll up and all those clients were Supercede on Supercede, which means that the retro pool would be like just rolled up. You could do literally like limit attachment band profiles, and you could drill into rate online profiles. You could drill down to the stacks that were aligned, that you could identify far more accurately like accumulation risk to large individual underlying accounts across, like all of those things become like things you can do instantaneously. Like you could, in a retro book, in this example,
do some cool LPTs
you could go, we are exposed to this big insured 13 times across this retro book, and they're the biggest one with this amount of aggregate exposure in this like that level. Like it would be profound what you could do there, and you could begin to even look at like other products that spin out the back of that. Like it would be so impactful to the industry. Yeah, so Batman.
Yeah,
I should have chosen better above 10.
I think people are going to start saying it. You're going to go down the lamb, and they'll be like, oh, how was your day on a scale of 1 to 10? And then they're just going to be like, Batman.
So awesome.
And then you'll know. And like, it'll be an awkward moment when somebody says it to like the one person who doesn't listen to the Reinsurance podcast.
Yeah, but
and
that
they're
guy's
like,
got to
it
get
was like
point.
Batman, like Jerad said. And they're like, sorry, what now? But that's going to be a rare occurrence. I guarantee it. If at least, give it a couple of weeks after this episode is released, you go out to a random person in the insurance or reinsurance markets and you say to them that something on a scale of 1 to 10 was Batman.
Yeah.
You get a knowing nod and be like,
just a knowing wink. Yeah.
I've listened to that too.
My only ask now is that the intro is like the logo. It goes podcast. That's where we need to get to for like this episode of.
We also then have to decide which of us is Batman and which is Robin. Audience vote.
Commence spandex competition.
Oh dear. And on that skin shell.
Perfect. That's all the time we've got today.
It's probably time to end.
Yeah.
I think we've probably done that time.
Yeah, and
now.
Cody's now like only guests from here on out. The two of us are far too rogue.
Liability. And we'll get to work on publishing that exciting hierarchy of needs for
the reinsurance data
pack.
Pac-Man.
It could be a new character. Marketing schemes await.
Thanks, everybody.
See you soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Reinsurance Podcast. If you enjoyed our show, don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review to let us know how we're doing, preferably 5 stars. For more insights and updates, follow us on LinkedIn.